Hello, good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you again once more to our live webinar series about opportunities and challenges of going digital in 2021. I want to welcome today my guest, who is Dr. Malak Attia. Malak is a professor at different universities in Ontario. Just I need to apologize. Malak is not able to be on video because of a personal small surgery that she had to do, but she was so nicely accepting our invitation, and she didn't cancel the last minute. So thank you so much, Malak. I really appreciate it, and welcome to the webinar.
It's my pleasure, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Malak, before going into the content, I would want you to play a short video about you because you're not able to show your face right now. But before that, as always, I want to thank our platinum sponsor, Agora Office Space. It's an office space based here in Bedford, Nova Scotia, where they are giving us their studio with their full equipment to use for our live webinars, which we've been running since January. Also, I want to thank the strategic partner, CIMO, the Chartered Institute of Marketing Management of Ontario, where both of us, Malak and myself, are proud executives in this organization. And Malak definitely will have the time to talk about it during this webinar. And I am personally the Chief Strategy Officer of CIMO. So now, without further ado, I just want to play a short video about Malak. And then Malak, I will give you the stage to introduce yourself, to a little bit tell our audience who you are, what you're doing, and then we will dive directly into the topic to talk about the impact of COVID and how we are starting to use digital tools in the classrooms, in the academic environment. So with
Sure,
this,
let's go.
yeah, let's start with this short video about you, Malak. Hopefully it will work soon.
Okay. Okay. I could also play it from my
No,
side.
it's okay.
Yes, thank you.
So Malak, this is a great introduction, I think, about you. Honestly, I didn't know that you are a painter. I didn't know that you were an air hostess with Saudi Airlines. Oh my God, you know, I just discovered so many things about you. So please, why don't you start taking some few minutes to introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, so as you saw, guys, in my video, my name is Malak Attia, and let me take it from starting from arriving to Canada. So when I arrived to Canada 2013, I thought because I have a PhD, it's going to be easy for me to find a job in teaching, because this is one of the professions that I was doing in Egypt. The issue is it was extremely difficult. I didn't know what I was actually missing, but later on, I continued taking courses for 3 continuous years, and I found that amazing course at George Brown College for professionals and how to teach in Canadian colleges for professionals. And this was the starting point. So I started knowing how is the environment here in Canada, what do I need to do, how I can teach in a better way, using technology in my teaching. So it was really beneficial. And then I articulated my resume accordingly with the same language. And then I started working in different colleges here in Canada, and I got my PMP also. And now also I'm teaching in a university in London too.
Oh, wow. You are keeping yourself very busy, I would say.
Yeah, busy is good.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing this life experience with us, Malak. So now let me dive directly into the topic. You've been, as you said, a professor at different universities and colleges here in Canada and as well abroad. So tell me a little bit, what were the major challenges that that COVID and the pandemic brought to the academic environment, and what was the impact on you as a professor?
Okay, so the flip, it was a sudden flip from being in person, contacting with my students face to face, getting their reaction on the spot. I can see them, I can ask them to answer this question or that. They can't escape. I can see they are there. And you feel the environment, you feel the education environment around you. So this is when you were in person. Now with the flip, it was a sudden flip. Some colleges reacted quickly enough, and some colleges took some time to arrange their paper, their education settings and the technology. But yeah, the amazing things that happened actually when we got to do the flip is that for instance, Conestoga College, they provided us with a huge number of workshops in how to deal with or how to use Zoom, how to deal with international students remotely, how to keep the spirit up to students. So they actually provided us with a lot, and they still keep doing this workshops. Also same at Sheridan College. So they keep giving these workshops, they keep encouraging us to participate, and also they give us also some programs about mental health and how to keep ourselves as teachers mentally healthy and sustain our morals and keeping it up, because this actually will react on the students. Whatever I'm doing, they get it, they see it, they feel it.
Of course.
Yeah, so these workshops helped a lot. And they also another thing that they provided is certain hours for support, technology support, or technical support.
Yes.
Yeah, so this was specific hours. So if I have an issue on the website, or I have an issue with Zoom or anything on the college website itself, I could get in, and the professors and the supporters are there. So and they were always alert and waiting for us, and they were always there to help and support. So this actually feeling that I've been taken care of
Okay.
gave me the support to give it to the students.
Wow, this is interesting. You know how probably in one night, right, when we woke up
Yeah.
with the lockdown, and where we realized that students cannot go back anymore to the classrooms, you as a professor, you just had to understand how to handle a classroom remotely, where many of the professors were not yet used to do that, right, at that time.
Yeah, it was as I just received yesterday an email saying that a survey has been done, and this is the result. And one of the results was some difficulty for some professors dealing with technology and Zoom, and yeah. So this was one of the issues. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, if I look at the positive side, because myself, I am not a professor at university, but I do lots of adult education and teaching in different formats, and one of the things which we noticed that was positive from this pandemic is that we were starting to see a much higher registration rate and take-up rate in our programs, just because we made it easy for people to join the courses without them having to drive for hours, and or to waste time on commuting. So did you see this as well at a university level, where you had a higher take-up rate in the classroom because it's just easier for the students to join a specific course?
At the beginning, when we got hit with the COVID, the flip was difficult. And for me, I'm going to speak about myself. I only concentrated on the negative points, which is,
Okay.
oh, now I can't get in contact personally with my students. Oh, this is it's difficult. So how can I? Because actually, I have a class in leadership, and we do games, so they have to hands-on games. So, but the positive side, and there is actually, by time I got to see the positive sides, and they are a lot.
Mm-hmm.
At least here in Canada, the weather is unexpected. It changes every now and then. So now today it's snowing. Yesterday it was bright, shiny, shiny bright. So at least I don't have to go out in such a weather.
Yeah.
Yes, the commute, the gas price also, if the college is far away from my residence. Also the same thing for students. It's less cost for the commuting, and and now we have to be not tax savvy, but you need to know your way in dealing with technology more. You need now to find more ways to engage your students online. Encourage them to participate more through online. It's a little bit. It's more effort than while you are in class, but it's actually worked. It's actually worked.
That's great. I see that you were talking about bringing some kind of engagement with your students today, because you are teaching remotely. Is basically that you're bringing some games or online engagement. And I know that we discussed some time ago about adding the online simulation, business simulation to your students. And actually, I had a webinar, I think back in January, with one of our partners, Praxar, who are developing the online business game simulations. So tell me a little bit your take on this. How do you think this might help or might not help having a better engagement in the classroom?
Okay, so I was teaching at Seneca College, actually, at the beginning. And then I found, while I'm doing the class, actually, while I'm giving them the class, while teaching, they were busy doing something on their laptop. So I went there, my students in the class while I'm teaching. So I went there, I started looking at their laptop. What are you doing, guys? So they said that this is a simulation game that we have to monitor stocks in the market, and we see how it's going and how much did they win or gain. So it was really engaging. So they didn't even, I'm standing there and they are playing in front of me, because this game or this simulation make them really engaged. So I actually encourage having such games for students, especially with because we are online now, and even in person in class, they were actually really engaged. So it's and I know that you have also a leadership simulation game. So yeah. I'm really so enthusiastic about this, and I'm so excited about that, and I would love to see how they can do and what they need to do. So it's nice. Hands-on is extremely nice, because it's actually most of the learners are visual learners, so they want to see something. So imagine if they see and also play.
Yeah, yes, definitely. I totally agree with you, because at some point, you know, me as a teacher, you as a professor at a university, we always like to read the body language of our students, right? So when you're giving a lesson, you are in the classroom, you are able to see them, you will understand the body language, and then you will see if they are getting you, if they have questions, if the message is not going across. And then when we are online, we have this disengagement, right? You don't have this kind of understanding. Sometimes people are turning off their video or their camera. Sometimes they are in and out of the Zoom session. And this is really creating a little bit maybe a disconnection or disengagement between the lesson and the students. And as you said, the simulation or bringing any digital engagement to the students in the classroom, I think is going to add a level of engagement and even a curiosity level, right, in the classroom, so that they remain with you throughout the lesson.
One more thing, Mark. Sorry, I forgot that. It's actually merging between education and fun in the same time, playing this game, and in the same time the student is learning and having fun. It's really important. So education doesn't have to be a duty that has to be accomplished with no fun, and you have to be extremely or something like a duty, so it's or something that you should and have and must do. So when you merge between fun and education, if I'm actually most of the time I'm a student too, I will be more encouraged to go ahead with this course, learn more how things would go, because I can see and I'm playing it and I'm taking control of that. And it's new. It's a game. It's a game while learning.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And part of the idea why we're trying to bring the online business simulation to the classroom is that to create this kind of not only fun, but students and even us as human beings, we like to be competitive, right? So when you create this kind of setup in a classroom where you divide the classroom into different groups, where you make them play a simulation, where you make them compete against each other, you will create this kind of dynamics. And then also sometimes you solidify the bond between the students or among the students. And this is how you're going to create probably a better community or sense of community and sense of belonging to the classroom that is much stronger than going into the classroom, staying in front of the screen, listening to the lesson and just disengaging directly after the lesson. I think this is really very interesting, especially when we are remote, when we are not having any more this kind of physical engagement. Malak, I just have sorry, I just have one friend here on Facebook, Pat, who just wrote a very interesting comment, and he's saying that in general, for the students, commuting is not a big problem because usually the students are clustered around their universities. So they live in a way more or less around where they are studying. I have my views on this, but I want to hear first of all your views on this because you mentioned about commuting and distance. And I think this is why Pat was mentioning that probably it's more for professionals, more relevant rather than for students. What do you think about that?
Well, he's right. They do, students do cluster around the campus. This is right, but it's still a cost, even if it's a minor cost. And it's still, with the weather that we have in Canada, it's still some burden, includes some, or it's a burden somehow. But yes, it's not that big. I do agree.
Yeah. You know, I agree with Pat as well that maybe it's not that big for students. But again, you know, if you look at a portion of the students who are sometimes going from province to province, right, moving their location because they are interested in joining a specific university, or they are moving to another city, not necessarily commuting, but they just have to move completely to be near the university. And now with online learning, I think this barrier is probably much less of a burden right now because you can learn remotely. And not to forget about international students, right? We
Yes,
know that here in Canada, international students
a
constitute a
lot.
big chunk
Yes,
of the
yes.
classroom. And now maybe for them, it's much less cost to travel, to move, to settle, and still be able to learn online from a Canadian university, and to a certain extent, probably get a degree or not. I don't know what are now the conditions, if you can do 100% remote program or it should be a
Yes, they
hybrid.
can.
Yeah.
They can. So I actually give classes to students in India and Sri Lanka and US. I think I had also from China. So it's more flexibility, and for Canada to sustain the same level of funds in. It's a huge factor for colleges. International students are a huge factor for colleges to keep going on.
Yes, of course. You know, once we had a big discussion with several professors talking about this, but actually it's not the subject of today's session. But yes, the international students are really a big asset to the Canadian universities, and we want to try to keep this at the same level as much as we can. And actually, at the end of the day, this is what makes a great, diverse environment and community. Now, I want to go back to the technology, right? Because we're talking about let's go digital, and so we understood that business game simulation is one of the tools which could be introduced to a classroom. And we know a couple of professors in different places of the world who have introduced it, like ourselves, through my company, through my business. We introduced it to the University of Houston. We were able to run the simulation for more than 2,200 students all
Wow.
online over the course of 4 to 5 different semesters, right? So
Ooh,
yeah, it was a huge thing which we had to do, which we did, and it was a great success. Um,
excellent.
yeah, so now other than this, we talked about Zoom. Tell me a little bit, what kind of other tools you think could be interesting to use in the classroom, or if you already are using something else to build engagement and to remain in contact with your students.
Well, what I do sometimes, like things, well, something that we had to do in class in person that I tried, that I asked them to do it on Zoom, like the 9 dots and how to connect between them in 4 connected lines, something, it's just a game on using the whiteboard on Zoom, but it's not that easy. They liked it, but it's not that easy. I had to create breakout rooms and let them ask each other or talk to each other about certain subjects. Sometimes when we discuss about culture, so I use Spotify and let them hear music, and I ask them to identify from which country, from which country this music is. So they try to identify the different cultures. They try to listen more. So these are some things that I use. I'm trying to remember even more things. Also, a part of the technology, the way that I try to react with them, talk with them, sometimes having private meetings with them to connect. So in one of my classes, some of my students were in India, some of my students were in different, Brazil even,
Mm-hmm.
Brazil, and where else? I think Spain, something like this. And I found that when I ask questions, they don't actually talk, and they don't participate, and I can't see them, and I can't encourage them to speak. So I started having private meetings with them and ask them, okay, how are you doing? How is the class going? Any feedback, anything that would make the class more engaging. So when I talked to them, when I reached out to them, it helped a lot. It helped a lot. So this is how it's a little bit difficult now with technology, and try to find all the time games or things that they can do on the screen. Sometimes I let them write on my slides on Zoom. So when we have the whiteboard, I let them write on my slide. So guys, this is your chance to write on the teacher slide. Go ahead. So,
Yeah.
so rather than doing it when the teacher goes out, they can do it now.
Yes, yes, you're right. At some point, this is one of the challenges, that when you sit behind the screen, you need to give a level of comfort that it is a safe environment still, right? So especially with students, where even in the classroom, it was you had. I think when I was a student, we were two categories of students. We were either the very, how to say, focus students, where we are just listening to the teacher, and like we prefer not to talk, but we're just listening, taking notes. Or we are the guys who are sitting in the back of the classroom and being, the
Naughty
most
guy.
annoying the most annoying group ever which you might have in a classroom, right? Now, unfortunately, this dynamics doesn't happen on Zoom. And I think with the difference, or the new generation, so now we're talking about generation X, Y, and then soon we're going to have generation Z into the classroom. and they are having completely different behavior, right? They are more multi-screens. So the challenge is how to keep them focused on your screen and not like being on a phone and looking at the different screen during the session, right? And this
Yeah.
level of engagement and how you convince them and how you bring them into the discussion is really, really very different and difficult
Yes.
for the professor.
Yes, because I can't see them. I can't see what they are doing, especially that I can't force them to open the cameras. But so because I can't show myself in them, I can't open my camera these days. So guys, so I told them, guys, so now you know how I feel when you close your camera. So it's difficult when you can't. And sometimes I call the student and he or she doesn't answer. What can I do? Yeah.
Yes.
So it's these are just few difficult points while going online, but I try to keep it fun and getting closer to them, find out how things are going in order to make it more engaging to them and
Yes.
more interactive.
Yes, you know, I hear the challenge. I know what it is, and even like when we are running our own programs outside of what I call an academic environment, more in adult education as well. Sometimes we have these challenges, but you know, when you are doing adult education, that is professional development, you are much less strict than being in a classroom, talking to students who are
Yes,
a
when they
little bit
are
less disciplined. Let me put it nicely. They are a little bit less disciplined than the adults, right?
no, well, my students are great. The issue is that if they are closing the camera, uh, I can't force them to open it. And sometimes because sometimes they live with other friends.
Yes.
So someone is sleeping, someone is taking a course, so they can't hire their voice, they can't participate. So other things I have to put in my mind to why when asking them for participation. So yeah, and I always hear from them that they miss engagement, they miss being in person. But in the meantime, they are happy that they don't have to commute in such weather.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So now they are taking care. They are taking care of their laptops. They are taking more care of their laptops. So otherwise, they can't
Yeah. So,
take their courses. Yeah.
so now, you know, let me ask you a question. And I am going to have a webinar about this with another colleague of ours at SIMO, Dr. Midjerson Maya. And, you
Great.
know, Midjerson has a company where they are doing artificial intelligence about identity management,
Mhm.
especially in the academic environment. So let me ask you this, right? Because unfortunately, I will not have you with him in the same webinar, but I want to a little bit anticipate the discussion and ask you this question. Like, what do you think is the way forward to verify the identity of the students when especially they are doing their exams remotely, they are doing their tests or submitting assignments? How confident is, I would say, the academic environment? Now, I am not talking only about yourself, Malak. It's more about the faculty, how the faculty in general is feeling about you know, this kind of identity management. How am I sure that when I receive an assignment from a student, that it's this student who did the assignment, it's not someone else? I don't want to go to plagiarism and this kind of discussion, but it's more about identity management. And
Mhm.
what do you think about this? What are the challenges around that remotely?
So this is a huge point about originality and making sure that of the identity of the submitter or who is submitting the assignment. It's a huge point. It's a huge deal actually, because we use Turnitin just to make sure that this part is not taken from elsewhere with no citation, in-text citation, and this part. But how about the whole assignment? How about if someone else is submitting it under the same identity? How will I know that? It's very difficult to control this, extremely difficult. So, and this is what we have is for now, is Turnitin. And I heard from other professors that they actually found out their assignments and their exams on other websites. And before they had to go with marking the assignments, they have to dig deeper and go to these websites, which are known for doing assignments for students, and try to find out if their assignment or exam is already there. And one of the professors, she told me that it's just, she just started the exam, and in, I think, in 15 minutes or something, it was there on the website. So it's, and sometimes we do exams without even the lockdown browser. Lockdown browser is restrict students from using the website. So the student has only to face the screen, and lockdown browser would monitor the movements, but sometimes the movements is not really something actually to catch. Sometimes it's okay. It was okay. It was not a plagiarism or cheating or something, but you still have to go, you still have to check. Sometimes we do exams without lockdown browser. Mm-hmm. How will I know what's there? How will I know that? How will I know what's surrounding the students? How will I know if he doesn't have the mobile showing the website of the college or showing the slides? How will I know that? So
yeah, this is a big issue, right? This is really a big issue, because, you know, just to tell you now, in this webinar, I am looking at 4 screens while talking to you. I have 4 screens to handle this webinar, right? When I need to handle the main image, I need to handle the social media, I need to handle how I am moving the slides and showing different images for the webinar. And
I didn't feel it. I didn't see it. I didn't recognize it.
Yeah, you see, so maximum you can see my eyes probably going left, right, or up and down. This is just because I'm looking at 4 different screens. But I imagine I can do a much better setup when, in a way, I can look at 4 screens without really moving much my head, right? And it's feasible. So definitely this is a challenge. And as you mentioned, Turnitin is a software that is great, but it's only about plagiarism, just detecting if the text was found somewhere else. However, the text could be original text, but just not written by me. It could be written by my brother, by my cousin, by my friend, right? Exactly. And this is what Turnitin cannot do, right?
Yes.
And
exactly.
ideally, our webinar with Medierson in a couple of weeks is to talk about their software, which is based on artificial intelligence, about how to be able to detect the identity of the person or the entity that typed the document, even if it was an original text.
Yes.
And I think this is really great. This is like great not only for the academic environment, but it is for like anything that is around identity management, a digital identity management of anything that is produced in a digital environment.
It would be great if a teacher or a professor would find such a tool. In order, this will save time, save effort for the teacher, and also students will know that they will have to do things by themselves, and they can't. They don't have any other option than that. So it's really very, very important.
Yes, definitely. And I am really looking forward for my next webinar with Medierson to talk about this, because I think this is really a breakthrough in technology using artificial intelligence in the academic environment, which is really a great topic. So Malak, I don't know if you noticed, we are already around 40 minutes talking, and I think we can talk probably for more 40 hours together.
Mark, just this is also one of the good things about teaching online, that now we know more tools. Now we are digging deeper in technology, and this is a privilege. This is good. This is enable us to expand our knowledge and try to be more in a friendly relationship with technology, not to fear the technology, for professors and for students too.
Yes, definitely, definitely. I always say, I've been in the technology environment, I would say since 2001, right? Or probably even a little bit earlier. And technology is moving so fast. And I always say, you don't have to fight technology. You need to find a way to use it to your advantage, because technology is here to stay. It's here to challenge us, right? It's here to sometimes make our life more miserable. However, if we are smart about adopting this technology and embracing it, then we will be able to use it to our advantage, just to move forward and improve our lifestyle and environment.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So one of the things that I learned is seeing that change. People always resist change. Change is huge, and we do resist change. We like to be always in our comfortable zone. But the flip also was came suddenly, so we were not that prepared even. But to look at change as an opportunity, this would impact positively on your personality, on the way that you would react, on people who are actually receiving your words or getting your words. So when you look at change as an opportunity, it's really helpful to you first and to others second.
Yes, definitely. I totally agree. And I think in our environment, and especially when I talk about the academic environment, although I am not an academician, I am more a business person, I am a professional, I have my own consulting firm, my trainings modules, but I am also an educator. I do lots of adult education, and we're just discussing before we start this webinar that probably at some point I will be in the academic environment, even if it was part-time or just, because I just love to do this kind of stuff. But I always believe that we always need to find a way to bring technology to the classroom, whether it is physical classroom or remote or like what we're doing right now. Because the more we bring this kind of technology and we know how to use it, we will just improve the experience. We will make students love studying more and more, especially that we are reaching a generation, or today's students are a generation that were born with a device and with a screen in their hand. So if you want to take them to a textbook that is just paper based, they are not going to engage, right? No matter what we do, they will not. So if we don't know how to make them engage with us in a classroom, then we are failing as educators. This is how I see it from my own point of view.
Yes, exactly. And this is was one of the main points in the course that I took in George Brown College about teaching in Canadian colleges for professionals, that you need always to create an inclusive environment in the class and to engage the students all the time. Why? Because they will feel bored, you will lose them. They are not gonna get it. When they feel bored in the class, they are not gonna understand anything. They will just keep their name on the screen and that's it. They are not there.
Exactly. And especially when they are not forced to turn on the camera, and when they are not forced to validate their presence. This is what I am talking a little bit about. I am not a lot into policing, right? I don't like to have lots of policing in a classroom because I
No,
still.
don't worry. I do it. Don't worry. I call their names and I wait for their answer sometimes. Are you here? Are you
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
What can I do?
But sometimes policing is a necessary evil in the classroom, right?
Yeah.
We cannot avoid it. We have to have it because at some point we have, as educators, we have a mission, right? And as organizations or like universities, colleges, institutes, whatever you want to name them, whenever you are submitting a certificate or a diploma or whatever, you need to keep the value in it, right? So you need to make sure that your students really got the value of the class in the classroom before you hand out this piece of paper that is at the end of the day the if you want the authentication, right? It's what is proving that they did all this, and you want to make sure that they were really engaged. It's not just like everybody is a winner, and then you lose the value within your organization.
Exactly. So keeping it as fun, and in the same time learning with simulation games and engaging them and making it an interactive environment. This is main concerns, and it's one of the priorities.
Yeah, 100%. So, Malak, unfortunately, we are reaching towards the end of our session today. As always, I always promise our audience that we keep it under an hour because we value and we respect the time of each one of us. And of course, I want to respect your time, and I want to thank you once again that you are on this webinar despite a surgery which you just did. It was
Thank you.
last week, right? So.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. I hope that everything is going well with you. And I want to apologize once more to our audience that you're not able to turn on the camera because of that. So hopefully we will be able to have you on a different occasion to talk again, and then this time with the camera on, and everybody will see your beautiful face, Malak.
Yes, my beautiful face. Exactly. Yeah, you said it right. Yes. So I'm so sorry, guys, that I can't open my camera. I'm so sorry about that. But thank you so much for having me, Mark. Thank you so much for the invitation. It was a pleasure. And I'm here whenever you need me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Malak, I want just to remind everyone that we are doing weekly webinars until the end of May. Then we're going to take what I could call the summer break, and then hopefully we'll come back in September with more webinars. The lineup for May is already announced. We are having a great lineup for what I am calling it a season finale. So please go on our social media, on our website, Strategy Up, social media on Facebook and on LinkedIn, mystrategyapp.com on the website, and you will find all the lineup. You can register. All webinars are for free, like the one we had today. There is no strings attached. We just are sharing information about the digital environment in 2021. Having said this, Malak, I want to thank you once again. I want you to have a great afternoon. And I want to thank our audience on Zoom and on Facebook for joining us and being loyal, and for all your comments and likes on our social media. And Malak, I hope that I will see you as well in other webinars with us. Thank you so much, and have a
Thank you. Appreciate it. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.